Hello, I'm Shaun Thomas, and today I'll be walking through our assignment 2.3-2 asteroids. So my contribution to the project was essentially adding the second player in by copying a lot of the player one variables into player two variables and then selecting buttons that would move the player two around. So I'm going to demonstrate the project. So first, there's single player. When you press new game, you can move the character around with WASD and press F to shoot. Then you can change it if you want to competitive, and this brings two players, and then they each have their own score, and whoever has the highest score wins. So if I try shooting, um, player one had -1 score because no one scored, and then he died, so that's why player two would win. But if we do co-op, it's similar, but now the scores are gonna be added together. So as you can see here, we have 1 and 0, and then total score is 1 point. So it's essentially how I walk through my code. So essentially a lot of what I did was duplicating player one variables. So right here is the player two score, which is a duplicate of the player one score. And same here for these two values, which are used to create and hold the bullets. And then right here is for the actual image of player two, and then player two's dimensions right here. And then the actual position of player two. And right here is the images for the flame. So that player two could also have its own flame when it accelerates, decelerates. And then again for player two's bullet, we duplicated that as well. And then for this function, I modified it to have this if statement. And then inside the if statement is the original code, and then the else is the code for player two. So if we need to add another bullet, the one of their arrays of bullets, it would detect if it's needed for player one or player two. And then essentially here I copied some of this code from player one for player two, and then the press two is for player two. And then I believe Josh modified this for the single player as well, so it wouldn't break if you only wanted one player. And then same here for the velocity here for when you press down to slow the velocity. I copied that from up here. And then for the left button to get the rotations again, just copy this from up here. I think for the right here, and then copy it from up here. And then right here, this is for when the player two starts shooting. Um, it'll create a new bullet inside of the player two's bullet array. As you can see, this is false from the previous function, asking if it is player one, but it's not, so that's why it's false. And then yeah, I believe this is also copied from up here, and this is copied from up here, which essentially is where it moves player two, and if it goes off the screen, it should wrap around to the other side of the screen in the same position, essentially. Then I believe this was also copied from up here. And I think this is just code for the math of the bullet and how fast it needs to move, and also the direction it needs to move. And then also just clearing it when it needs to be cleared if there's an error here. And I think that's also for if the bullet wraps around, or if it goes off the screen, it wraps around. And this is all just book code right here in this scoring system that someone else made. And then here, I believe this is also copied from somewhere else. I believe this is just simply if a player's bullet hits an asteroid, it should destroy the bullet. And then it should increment their score. And then again, this is copied. It should destroy the asteroid by removing it, and then removing the bullet as well. Again, this is also copied, or the asteroid should get removed if and the bullet should get removed as well. And more of that over here as well. And then I believe this over here detects for if a bullet hits one of the enemy ships, not the asteroids. Over here is where you get the enemy's X and Y, and then I guess an explosion is created over there. Again, this is probably copied from player one's stuff, and the bullet gets removed from its array, and the enemy is cleared from the screen essentially. Over here, I believe this happens if player 2 hits an asteroid, I think. Or no, this happens if a player 2 hits one of the enemy's bullets, and then the game will end. And then the scoring system someone else made is displayed here. And then I believe here this is also just copied from another part of this function, which essentially just needs to draw the player's bullets, and then this is just for the second player that's copied from the first player up here. And then if there's an error, all the bullets get cleared for player 2, which is also copied from here. And then I believe right here, this is also modified from what I initially did, but I think what happens here is if it's not single player, then you draw the second player in. And essentially what this part is, it's I believe this is where you draw the flames. So for when you press up, you draw the flame, and then I guess longer it's held, the more flame comes up, and then just keeps going up and up and up essentially, which is how it makes it look like it's accelerating by having larger and larger flames. And then essentially here's where we bind the up, down, and left presses to the certain keys. When I first built it, it was a little different. Up press 2 was bound to W, but I think someone else changed the bindings to something a little bit more comfortable for them. But I essentially added this part with up press 2, down press 2, left press 2, right press 2, and then fire press 2. And then I did the same for this part as well, so that when you stop holding it, it becomes false, and then it'll stop accelerating, stop shooting. Again, I had up press 2, up, down press 2, and all that, bounded these, but I think someone else moved them again. And then I just initialized these values to false, so that it wouldn't automatically start moving. And then this is the new image object for player 2. I guess just instantiating it, and then having the player 2's velocity start with 0. And the first flames 2 image and flame count starting at 1. And this is just copied from the player 1 stuff, as you can see. This is copied from here, and this is copied from here. And then for the rest of my contributions, I believe, was just copying some of the class variables that were used for player 1. So yeah, this is copied from this. This is all copied from here, and then this is all copied from up here, and it's all copied from here as well, and this is copied from here as well. I guess I should explain this stuff, but so the buffered image is what the image is actually being shown. So it's the little triangle for each player. These booleans are simply determining if the up press, down press, left press, the right press, or fire press are being currently held or not. And if it is being held, then action should be taken for that. This player 2 image is the actual image itself. And this player 2 width, player 2 height, the dimensions of the not the image, but the area that's considered the player. Original Y and original X is where it's, I guess, spawned in. Player 2 velocity is how fast it's currently moving. Um, player bullets 2 is, I guess, the bullets that the player has currently being shot. And then I'm not too sure what player bullet times 2 is. I guess it might be like the lifespan of the bullet. Or maybe I think this is the actual bullet itself, and this is the image for each bullet, and this actual bullet. And then here's the image for the actual player bullet 2. Um, and then here's all the images for each stage of the flame, and then the flame count for which yeah. And so that's all my contributions for the assignment 2.3-2 assignment.